Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear friend and student, Assalamu alaikum. I am Rahmanullah and I am here to teach you financial management. In previous lecture, we discussed some topics from chapter 1 like finance, financial management, area of finance, function of finance, and why we study finance. In this lecture, we will discuss some further topics from chapter number 1 like business, types of business, how finance fit into an organization or organization structure, as well as we will discuss a question which was asked by a student in previous lecture at the end of the video. So let's start the first topic of today's lecture, which is business. What is business? The word business means is state of being busy. A businessman is always busy in some activities. Some are busy in phone, like discussing with their customer. Some are busy with staff. Some are busy with hiring people. So a businessman is always busy in some activities. Now, what the definition of business? What is business? Business is an economic activity which is done for the purpose of earning profit, or any legal activity which is done for the purpose of earning profit. Activity which is done for the earning profit. Now, what does it mean by legal activity? Legal activity means that activity according to the rules and regulation of a country, or activity done in ethical way. For example, if a person who is stealing money from people or doing smuggling, then it is not a business because it is not legal activity. It is not ethical activity. If he say I am doing business, so he is liar. This is not a business. It is something else. Now let's discuss some types of business. What the types of business? Business have three main types, three main forms, and each form has different merit and demerit for the life of business. So the first one is sole proprietorship. The form of business which is owned by a single person, a single individual, is called sole proprietorship. Or the form of business which is created by, managed by, controlled by a single individual or a single person is called sole proprietorship. Owned by single person or managed by single person. And this form of business, the owner keep all the profit and all the dips is for the owner. The owner will be responsible for all the dips of this form of business. And this form of business, the liability is unlimited. What does it mean by unlimited liability? Unlimited liability means that the creditor of your firm can get the owner asset, the owner personal asset, if the owner does not pay them their credit, if the owner does not pay them their loan. The example of sole proprietor is bakery shop, retail shop, book shops. These all are the examples of a sole proprietorship business. Example. The sole proprietorship is one of the easiest business form because you can easily start it, you can easily close it. Now the next types of business is partnership. It is the form of business which is owned by two or more than two people, two or more than two individuals for the purpose of earning profit. Owned by two or more than two people. The minimum number of partnership is 2 and the maximum number of its partner and partnership is 50, and according to the Partnership Act in Pakistan. The partnership have two types. One is general partnership and the other is limited partnership. In general partnership, the liability of a partnership is unlimited, while in limited partnership, the liability is limited to its owner according to their investment. The partner who have limited liability is responsible for the debts according to their investment and partnership. The example of partnership is Red Bull and Co-Pro or Nike and Apple. These are some of the examples of partnership. The next and the third and the last form types of business is corporation. It is the most important type, the most important form of a business. The business created as a separate entity by its shareholder. It's called corporation. Separate entity. The corporation is a separate legal entity, means that it has separate rights, it has separate name, it can borrow money from people, it has its own property. The board of directors for corporation is elected by its shareholder. Board of directors is elected by its shareholder. What does it mean by shareholder? Shareholder are the people who purchase the share of the corporation, who own the share, who own the security of a corporation. The corporation is divided into two types. The one is public limited company and the other is private limited company. One is public limited company private limited company. The public limited company are those companies whose security, whose share are traded freely on a stock exchange and everyone can buy it. There is no restriction on the security of a public limited company. The example of public limited company is Agro Fertilize Limited Company, Meadows chemical industry. These are some of the example of public limited company. While the private limited company are those companies whose securities are not freely traded on a stock exchange, whose securities, whose shares are owned by private investor. The example of private limited company in Pakistan and is that Habib Rafiq private limited company, who have Al Habib banks. These all are the example of private limited company. So this all was the types of business in which we apply the different principle of financial management. And these corporation, these sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, we run these types of business by financial management, by applying the principle of financial management. Now let's come toward the last, the final topic of today's lecture, which is how finance fit an organization. What is the organization structure? Organization structure, or how finance fit an organization. The organization structure is basically that how organization activity are directed to achieve the organization goal, to achieve the organization objective, to achieve the organization aim. An organization structure, we have different steps, we have different peoples, we have different staff. The first one is board of directors. Board of director. The board of director is selected by, made by its shareholder, the shareholder of corporation, the shareholder of the organization. Then the board of director made a CEO, chief executive officer for the organization, who work under the board of director. CEO, Chief Executive Officer, serve under Board of Directors. The Chief Executive Officer further made different president for different activities, for different operation of organization. He made a president, vice president for marketing operation, CFO, Chief Financial Officer for financial and accounting operations, and also make a president for operation activities, that how the organization activities, how the organization operation will be performed. Operation president, marketing, and CFO. CFO stands for Chief Financial Officer. The Chief Financial Officer is served under CEO, Chief Executive Officer. Then the Chief Financial Officer made two persons. Two people they select for different activities of organization, like accounting activities, like financial activities. One is treasurer and the other is controller. Controller and treasurer. The treasurer is basically the person. The treasurer is basically the person who manages the cash, the financial planning, the credit, the foreign currency for the organization. He manages all these types of activity for the organization. He make future plan of financial, like capital budgeting, investment decision. These all types of decision for organization is managed by a treasurer. While the controller is a person who manage the accounting side of organization, who manage the cost of the organization, who manage the data processing of organization, who make financial statement for the organization. These two types of people serve under Chief Financial Officer, work for the shareholder. So this was the structure of organization, and that how finance fit an organization. So finance fit an organization like this way. These two people work for chief financial officer, work for organization. So this was the structure of organization. This was the final topic of today's lecture. Now let's discuss the question which was asked by a student in previous lecture and comment section. The question was that what the difference between central bank and commercial bank? Question. Between central bank and commercial bank. Now let's explain me the question, the answer of the question. So the difference between commercial bank and central bank are many, but the main difference between the commercial and central bank is that central bank is owned by government. Central bank owned by government. The central bank can issue the currency for the country. The central bank make rules regulation like fiscal policy, monetary policy for the commercial bank and country. The central bank does not deal with public directly. The example of central bank in Pakistan, the State Bank of Pakistan. The State Bank of Pakistan is the example of central bank. Example. So this is the central bank. Now let me explain the commercial bank. That what the difference between central bank and commercial bank. Commercial bank. The commercial bank is owned by government or private people. We say in central bank that central bank is only owned by government, but the commercial bank is owned by government or private people. Private people. The second difference is that commercial bank can't issue the currency for the country. The next difference is that commercial bank deal with public directly. The example of commercial bank is UBL Bank, National Bank, Mizan Bank, Allied Bank, Al Habib Bank. These all are the example of commercial bank. And commercial bank follow the rules and the regulation which is made by central bank. Example is UBL Bank, Mizan Bank, MCB Bank, National Bank, etc. So this was the short explanation about the difference between central bank and commercial bank. I hope you understand the question, you understand the answer, and you get the answer. So this was all about today's lecture. If you have any question and today's topics, feel free and ask in the comment section. Inshallah, I will try my best to answer you in next lecture. So take care yourself and stay with us. Wassalam, Pakistan, Zindabad.